coverage you can count on. This is the Erie News NOWCAST.
Good evening, I'm Kristen Allen. Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the Erie News NOWCAST. As the stalemate continues between lawmakers over increasing the minimum wage, Governor Tom Wolf is taking executive action. Governor Wolf highlighted his new workforce agenda today in Delaware County. Under the plan, employers who receive any government assistance must pay workers a minimum wage of $13.50 an hour. The legislation also requires companies to provide workers with paid sick leave. Jesry Friend of the Manufacturer and Business Association says many businesses have reached out to him to express concern already, and he describes Wolf's plan as disingenuous, doing little to address the worker shortage in Pennsylvania.
At a time when the governor says this is going to help economic growth, people will just get back to work if they were just paid a higher wage. His bluff has been called. As been well reported, many employers across the area have already increased wages, many above this $13.50 threshold. And the fact of the matter is people just aren't coming back to work.
Pennsylvania's current minimum wage of $7.25 has been in place since 2009. The teen charged with shooting another teen in Millcreek in early 2020 pleaded guilty to a felony charge today. 18-year-old Isaac Bruno entered the plea to a count of aggravated assault. In turn, 7 other charges were dropped. Now, he was charged after police were called for a gunshot victim back on January 26th of last year in the 4800 block of Westlake Road, just west of Asbury Road. Bruno and the victim were at Bruno's house when Bruno showed off a revolver he had bought off the street. The two later started walking to the victim's home when police said Bruno froze, stared blankly at the victim, and then pulled out the gun. Bruno then fired, hitting the victim in the torso. He eventually dragged the victim home, knocked on the back door, and took off. And U.S. Marshals have arrested another teen wanted on homicide charges for the fatal shooting of a man at his Meadville home back in July. Police arrested 16-year-old Kevin Boitnott of Meadville at an apartment in the 300 block of West 8th Street in Erie and turned him over to the Meadville police. Boitnott had been wanted since investigators filed 31 charges against him in July, including homicide. Police say the robbery and homicide happened at a home in the 300 block of Walnut Street around 300 on the morning of July 3rd. 19-year-old Nathaniel Harris had been shot and killed, and 2 other 18-year-olds from Meadville have also been charged with the homicide. Turning to COVID-19 now, as we've reported this week, the FDA gave approval for multiple COVID-19 vaccines proposals. Pfizer, Moderna, and now Johnson & Johnson are eligible to administer COVID boosters. People are also allowed to mix and match their booster from their original dosage. It's a move that could help keep COVID case numbers low in the cold months. And starting early next month, children ages 5 to 11 can earn their vaccines as well. Epidemiologist and Erie News Now contributor Dr. Becky Dawson says this is a great move.
Every student who is kindergarten through 12th grade is eligible and can receive this vaccine. And from a standpoint of like contact tracing and then quarantining students and maybe even getting to a point where we can take masks off in schools, like the vaccine is key to all of this.
And Dr. Dawson says for those who do not get the booster shots, it does not change your definition of being fully vaccinated. And the nation is dealing with an economic 1-2 punch. The ongoing crisis with the supply chain and soaring inflation. Together, they're driving up prices from everything from gas to food. Our Erie News Now Haley Potter explains how it's affecting almost everything you buy.
From checking out at the grocery store to filling up at the gas pump, we are all digging deeper in our wallet, with prices on just about everything trending higher. Inflation for September matched June and July, the highest levels in 13 years. Billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones warns it's likely here to stay.
And it's probably the single biggest threat to certainly financial markets and again, probably, I think, to society just in general.
A gallon of gas now averages $3.36, up 17 cents in a month, and $1.20 over the past year since the pandemic recession. The price of used cars has trended down in recent months, but it's still a 24% spike from last year. And it's a similar situation in grocery stores.
I'm on Social Security, so I have to be very frugal on what I buy, especially now. The prices are really gone up, really high.
In the past year, a gallon of milk is up 14 cents on average, a nearly 50-cent increase for a dozen eggs, and more than 60 cents for a pound of ground beef.
I've noticed everything's going up, even if it's like 20 cents, like 30 cents, everything has started going up a lot.
Rising food costs are also adding another challenge for the nation's restaurants, still struggling to recover from the pandemic setback. Tyler Aiken owns 2 restaurants in Pennsylvania. He says costs are up significantly for certain meats and equally critical kitchen staples like frying oil.
And that we were paying $25 for last year is now in the $50 range.
Aiken says they've had to pass some of that cost to their customers.
It can have a sticker shock effect for certain guests, but it's not an abuse of circumstance. It's just the reality that we're facing right now.
Haley Potter, Erie News Now.
And there's a new option for medical marijuana here in Erie. A new dispensary called Good Blend is now open on Pittsburgh Avenue. It's Erie County's 3rd dispensary to open since 2018. Good Blend has a growing facility and another dispensary in Pittsburgh. This is their first location here in Erie. The medical marijuana industry is growing across the Commonwealth. In September, there were 633,000 registered medical marijuana patients in Pennsylvania, up 8.5% from the month before.
We have high quality, innovative products, and then we also have very knowledgeable and experienced guides that can help you pick out the best medication for you and your needs. And we also have trained and licensed pharmacists on staff that can also help answer any questions you might have about the product.
The new dispensary will create 24 new jobs here in the county. And if you're interested in finding out more about the state's medical marijuana program, we've put up a link on our website at erienewsnow.com. Well, we thank you for joining us for this edition of the Erie News Nowcast. Join us for our next news at 10 p.m. on the CW and 11 p.m. on WICU and WSEE. Have a great night.